So, this is spring in Ontario. Right. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is my weekly vlog number 63 on Monday, April the 16th, 2018. And it's a blustery day here in Ontario. We've had a whole weekend of an ice storm and ice pellets, the whole bit, you name it. It looks like a winter wonderland right now for April 16th. This is unusual even here in Canada. And as I look out my window right now, I'm still not sure if it's freezing rain or just rain, but it's making quite a mess out there. So we basically have been trapped inside for the whole weekend. Not that that's a big deal, because that gave me lots of time to work on my quilts, as we're going to talk about today, along with a whole bunch of other things. I've got lots of things to talk to you about. And some of the things might be a little bit of a repeat from yesterday's Stephen and Walter Live, and the links below if you didn't catch it live. And I just want to say, as an aside about Stephen and Walter Live, Walter and I are really enjoying doing those. We look forward to Saturday afternoons to speak to everybody and to share our thoughts on things. And it's great. It's one of the most fun things that I do on the on YouTube. So anyways, if you've never seen it, check it out. Okay, so what are my current projects? Well, had my last quilting class on Friday night, and we learned how to do actual walking foot quilting on the quilt that's behind me. This quilt is now done. This weekend I finished the quilting at the class, and I brought it home, squared it all up, and I did the binding. And for the first time, this is quilt number 4, my binding is pretty much perfect. My stitching is pretty straight. I took my time. I got my binding strips to join properly. The whole bit, the corners are mitered. I'm very proud of this. So I'm just going to stand up and let you take a little closer look at this. This is the zigzag quilt. You've seen it in pieces before as well, and now it's all finished. You probably can't see it, but the quilting that's done on this is basically about a 1/4 inch line that goes around each set of zigzags or chevrons, whatever you want to call them. I did it in a variegated thread that has all of these colors in it, and I think it turned out pretty nice. Now that's a simple form of quilting, but I'm moving my way up to free motion. The binding, as I said, turned out perfect thanks to the instructor Sharon at Ultimate Sewing. She gave me a few tips, and those tips paid off. And this is my backing. It picks up the colors on the front, but it turned out pretty good. So I am very proud of this quilt. Now, I had enough pieces left over from these blocks. Well, actually, I cut too many is what happened. And in fact, I thought I was the only one that had done that in the class, but other people had done it in the class as well. So I had enough blocks left over to make this. And I haven't quilted this yet. I haven't layered it. And I showed this yesterday, I think, on Stephen and Walter Live, or maybe I didn't. But anyways, this is all done. I just laid out those triangles in my own pattern combination, and the black lines is called sashing. I didn't know what that was before, but I went on YouTube and figured out how to do it. YouTube's wonderful. And it's all squared up, and now I just need to layer it. And then I'm debating on what kind of quilting I'm going to do on this. I was thinking of doing the similar as I did on this one, going around the outline. I might do that. I've got all these white spaces, and I'm wondering if I dare try a very simple form of free motion. I have to think about it. But anyways, I'm very proud of how this one turned out too. Oh, there is one mistake. I'm not going to point it out to you. It's not noticeable, although I showed it to Sharon, my instructor, and she's such a such a an expert that she just spotted immediately. I got one of my blocks out of place, and by the time I realized it, I had pretty much the whole quilt top sewn together, and I wasn't pulling it apart. However, as a saving grace, she told me that that was actually something that people used to do in quilts a long time ago. One block would be out of place, and they called that the humility block. And the reason they call it the humility block is because nobody's perfect, only God is perfect. So that's why it was called the humility block, because they couldn't be as perfect. Okay, so that's what I'm going with anyways. That's my story now, and I'm sticking to it. I have a humility block. Okay, so yes, once again, I'm talking about quilting. And what else have I been up to in this vein? Okay, I made this. Another blend bag, all from scraps. I have squared bottoms. Inside, it's lined again with scraps, and it's all quilted. Now I did again a simple type of quilting. You can't really see it unless it's up close, but it's a wavy line, and I let my sewing machine do that. I'll see if you can pick it out. I did it in that variegated thread again that picked up these colors. You can see in the blue a little bit, it runs across this way. There, up here in the white you can see it. So I did it with the walking foot, just a very simple one. But the bag is my own design, and I'm really loving it. And I purposely made it this size so it can fit my platform for my sewing machine. When I go to a sewing class, it'll plop right down here along with my larger rulers. So yeah, and of course I had to put on in vinyl blend bag, both sides. Blend bag. Coming to a Gucci store near you soon. $5,000. Okay, I take orders. If you've got $5,000 to give me, I'll make as many bags as you want. Anyways, the other thing that I'm doing, and this is a bit of experiment because I kind of like working with scraps, and I've got a lot of scraps. So I saw on the Missouri Star Quilt Company YouTube video that they were doing something called paper piecing, but as a foundation. So you have a piece of tracing paper, like it's kind of a little thicker than tissue, but a little less thick than regular paper. And you cut up strips, any size you want, doesn't have to have any rhyme or reason, and you sew them down to this strip of paper. And then, because the paper gets perforated from your needle, you pull the paper off at the back when you're done. And you have a perfect square. And I've made 4 of these so far. I'm going to make more. And then you can arrange them in whatever way you want and create a quilt. And of course your lines won't match up, but that doesn't matter. I'm having a lot of fun making these because they're fast. I didn't have, you can buy paper for foundation piecing. But I thought, you know, what have I got laying around the house? Because me, I don't like to wait. I like to get right into a project. I have deli paper, lots of it. I use it for art journaling and things like that. It's pretty much the same consistency, so I give it a try, and it works. Works fine, not a problem. So I'm going to make more of these, and I'm thinking of doing some, because I just saw a video on Craftsy with some curves in it and wonkier, and then maybe intermix them with the ones that are more straight lines and see what I get out of that. This is the kind of thing I want to do in quilting. I like improvisational quilting, as they call it, or art quilts. I like the pattern idea and the whole bit, but I like doing my own thing as well. So I am going to do my own thing, and we'll see how that one turns out. Got a lot of quilting projects on the go now. And then I decided to try my hand at practicing some free motion quilting. And this is what happened. I just got crazy with it. I was just trying to get the feel for the speed, you know, because you are the one that's pushing the material through underneath the needles, so you have to get into kind of a rhythm. I haven't got that rhythm down yet. This is just a little practice panel I made from scraps and some scrap batting just to give it a try. And that's why I don't know about that quilt top I just showed you, whether I will do free motion or what I'm going to do on it. Because I'm not confident with this yet. And I do want to take a class in this, and they do offer a class in this in the new session coming up in May. So I'm going to sign up for it. Hopefully I'll get in, and because they can't take many people, so I'm going to be right there first thing in the morning before the store opens to because there's a lot of classes I want to take, and sign up for them, and I'll learn some tips and tricks from that. I can see though how this is addictive, because it's, you know, it's like doodling on material. So anyways, trying that. I ordered from Craftsty only because I joined the Unlimited Craftsty. They gave me a $25, American $25 store credit. So I immediately had to use it. And I bought some what they call charm packs. Charm packs are 5-inch squares, and I bought 3. And there's about 45 pieces, I think, in each one. And I bought 2 packages. These are batiks, and I kind of like the palette. This one's a little bit bolder than that, but you know, I'm thinking intermixing them. And I love Cafe Facet, his materials, because that's what my very first quilt was made from, was his material. And he's just got brilliant colors in the palette. And so I got these 3 packages, and luckily the $25 turned into about $31 Canadian. And so, however that worked, $25 US would have been, yeah, more Canadian to get $25 US. So that was a bonus. So it cost me, well, using the coupon and another $20 Canadian. I got these 3 packs. So that's not a bad deal, because I'm not really sure what charm packs go for on a regular basis, but depending on the material, the fabric, and the designer, I think they can get a little pricey up there. So I bought those, and they're for a future project. I don't know what they are yet. I've become a fabric junkie. I used to be a scrapbook paper junkie because I loved the patterns and the colors and things like that, and needless to say, I bought a lot of those. I'm turning into the same thing, only with fabric now. It's addictive. So that, and what else have I been working on? Okay, so I've been feeling really guilty that I've been neglecting things like my art journaling and painting and all that kind of stuff, because I've been so focused on the quilting. But I did manage to finish one project. It's a mixed media on an illustration board, and this is it. And below I have linked a video showing my process for this. And basically the things that are on it are bits of jewelry, costume jewelry and things like that, and some wood veneers that I've colorized and the whole bit. And actually I'm very happy with the way this piece turned out. I am going to try and get a frame for it without glass. I'll have to take the glass out, or a shadow box kind of a thing. I'm looking for something relatively cheap. I don't want to spend an arm and a leg on a frame, but I want to put this in a frame, because I think it'll look better framed as well. But as I said, the whole process for this that I did, you can watch, and it's in the show notes below. Okay, so that's what I've been up to. So what else? Let's have some coffee. And keep looking outside, because I need to go out today to the bank. Cleaning lady comes tomorrow, got to get her some money. Okay, so we'll see. Anyways, what's coming up next? Yeah, YouTube channel of the week. I stumbled upon this by accident. The name of it is what appealed to me. It was called Threadbanger, and to be honest, I thought it was about probably quilting, but it's not. It's a YouTube channel, very professionally done videos, as you'll see, that does DIY, home improvements, things like that. In fact, they have a whole bunch of little series on all kinds of different topics, but one of them was they bought a new house, well, a new old house, and were gutting it. And it was interesting watching them do their renovations, because it was a major renovation job. But anyways, here's my little clip and review about the YouTube channel of the week. This week's YouTube channel is called Threadbanger. Now that is a relatively interesting name for a channel, but it is a very interesting channel. It's basically a craft and art and DIY all wrapped up into one channel. The hosts of it are a husband and wife team, and they're quite funny, and I think that's intentional. They've got a wide variety of videos. They redid a house, they do crafty things, they talk about food. It's a little bit of everything. The videos are very professionally done, and they are sponsored by major corporations, so I think that's why they're professionally done, because they've got the money and the people to make these videos for them. But it is kind of interesting. It's what I call an amusing waste of time, and who knows, you might glean some ideas for home repair or DIY projects or whatever. So that's Threadbanger. And so now that takes us to our person of interest this week, and I do have a person of interest, but this one's a little different. Catherine Tams, who's a regular viewer of my vlogs and of Stephen and Walter Live, etc., sent me an email talking about someone who's very inspiring in her life of art, and that's her sister, Marcia. And Marcia is a quilter. So Catherine used Marcia's quilts as inspiration for doing some paper quilting and creating her own card. So she sent me a couple of pictures, and I'm going to read to you what she said in the letter, and I've put it all together in a little video clip, and you can watch it right now. This week's person of interest is someone that I have never spoken to or seen a message from. I'm not even sure if this person actually watches my channel or not. But this person was brought to my attention by one of my regular subscribers, and that's Catherine Tams. And Catherine wrote to me the following. Steve, I'm writing to actually nominate a person of interest for your channel. My sister Marcia is one of the most inspiring people that I've ever known. I feel like she would be of interest to you and some of your followers. She has taught me so much about how color can work and truly encouraged me to explore my own ideas. Recently, I have decided that I wanted to quilt with paper, and she held my hand via telephone while I did my first card. Marcia is an art quilter and makes items that are of her own design. I've attached a photo of an art quilt that she made and designed herself. It's got over 200 pieces to it. I feel like she is such an inspiration for me, and I would love for the two of you to communicate and perhaps feature her as a person of interest. I've also attached a photo of my most recent card as well. So thank you, Catherine, for nominating your sister Marcia, and as you can see, I have a picture of Marcia's quilt, which is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And of course, you know that I'm into quilting as well, so I find this really a piece of art. And then you can see what Catherine's done, and she's taken the techniques of quilting and created a card that looks like a quilt, but is all made from paper. And I'm sure that many of you have probably tried this before. But I think the best way to get some inspiration for creating paper quilts or do paper quilting is to just go online and check out pictures of what quilters are actually doing. People like Marcia. So thank you, Catherine, and I hope to hear from Marcia someday soon. So I know every week I make the same appeal that I want you to send me stuff about yourself. Don't be shy. Everybody is unique, and I will feature you. And please do. Don't, like I said, I'm genuine about this. I really want to know about my viewers, my subscribers, and I'd like to share that information with other people. So please send it to me. My email address is in the last part of the video today, so you can check it out. Okay. So resources that I have linked below. Of course, there's a link to Stephen and Walter Live. There's the one to the Threadbanger. There's one to Art Journal Courage, which is a book that I'm going to review this week a little later on. And there's a link to my new series that I'm experimenting with called The Idiot Quilter. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. And then I have the link to the mixed media on the board that I just showed you, my process video for that, which I didn't do in real time. I fast forward it so that you don't have to sit through and watch glue dry. It also took me several days to do this. I did it in bits and pieces. So anyways, that's there too. So that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Nothing. Oh yeah, I could be pissed off about the storm, but that's an act of God and can't do anything about it. It did piss me off, the storm, because I had plans this weekend. 2 events got canceled this week. I was going to go to the Creative Festival in Toronto, and it's out by the airport in Toronto, so that's about an hour away from us. And they have this twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And it's usually, you know, they've got all kinds of everything for quilters and sewers and scrapbookers and paper artists and all that kind of stuff. And it's usually fairly large and well worth the trip. However, want it to live. If you're not familiar with ice storms, they are not fun to drive in. In fact, you don't drive in them. They're very, very treacherous. It started out Saturday morning with just rain. With the prediction, they were warning us that this was coming. But you know, every time the weathermen get out there, and this is what's pissing me off, every time weathermen start talking about the weather, it becomes the storm of the century. Every time people get upset, stressed out, they tell you, you know, make sure you've got extra water in your house in case of power failure. Make sure you've got food, canned goods, all this stuff, an emergency kit, and everything else. And they build this all up, and people are shivering in their boots, waiting for this, and then it goes, pff, and that's it, just, pff, and it's nothing. And on the rare occasion when it is a bad storm, it's still not the storm of the century, because you know there's going to be another one later on in the year that's going to be the next storm of the century. Everything's the storm of the century, at least around here. Now, we're lucky. We don't suffer usually from hurricanes. We may get the tail end of a hurricane blowing through, but it's nothing like a full-blown hurricane. In our area, we don't usually get tornadoes, although some areas just north of us have had them before. They're not uncommon, but it's not like in the Midwestern United States and that kind of thing where they have a tornado season or anything like that. So, you know, our storms of the century usually consist of ice and snow. We're Canadian. We're used to ice and snow. However, I wasn't chancing it this weekend. Because it's an hour away to where we were going, we might get there, we're in at the show, we come out, and the roads could be sheer ice. And what are you going to do? Get a hotel room somewhere? We're actually on the airport strip where this place was, so yeah, you could get a hotel room. However, you still got to drive to the hotel room. It's not like you can just hop on a subway to get there, because there isn't a subway out there or anything like that. So anyways, I was a little disappointed about that, but yeah, it has a silver lining. I didn't spend any money. So, and I'm alive. I wasn't putting my life into, you know, in jeopardy. So I didn't get to buy anything, and that's probably okay, because is there much more that I need? Yes, there's always things that I need or want. Need and want for me are the same thing. So we didn't get to it. In hindsight, Walter looked up some comments people were making about the show that did make it. It ran 2 days, Friday and the Saturday, but we couldn't go on the Friday. So yeah, a lot of people were saying they were disappointed in it this year, that there weren't as many vendors, and the vendors that were there were not really all that exciting or worth going to. I mean, if you wanted to buy one of those things that slices, dices, and makes julienne fries, I guess they were there. You know, the ones that are always selling you the latest little gizmo that'll steam clean a potato and make it into julienne fries while you're decorating with radish roses. You know, that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, not to mention the powerful cleaner that, you know, it's all natural, but it'll strip the crap right off your floors in one fell swoop. That kind of stuff. So, having read those reviews, I'm not that disappointed. The other thing, we were supposed to go to this lunch that was at the art gallery. That was a volunteer appreciation lunch. They have it every year. But we got a phone call on Saturday morning saying because of the weather they were canceling it. I'm assuming they'll reschedule it later in the spring. Probably a very smart move to cancel it, because actually the ice storm was worse yesterday, Sunday, than it was on the Saturday. So, you know, nobody's going to come to a luncheon having to drive for that. It's just a luncheon. So anyways, those two events I was looking forward to, they got canceled. So am I pissed off at the weather? Yeah, but who isn't? We're always pissed off at the weather. So yeah, that's about it this week. Nothing's really pissing me off. I'm running out of things to be negative about. Yay, new positive life, I guess. Okay, moving on to product review. What's new? Well, I might have had some things to show you if the Creative Festival, if I had been able to get to the Creative Festival, but I haven't, and I haven't bought anything new. So Nothing new there to review. So let's go right to book reviews. I do have a book to review in my stash. I haven't had this book that long. I sort of forgot about it. I love this lady. I have watched some of her videos and things. I think I did purchase a Craftsy video or another one, maybe Artist Network TV. And of course, you've heard of her too. Her name is Dina Wakely. She's a great art journalist. And this is her book of, she has several books out, Art Journal Courage. And really, this is great for a beginner. Fearless Mixed Media Techniques for Journaling Bravely. Her style is very unique. You know, she basically does all kinds of things with products. This is somewhat set up as a workbook book too. Like you could work from cover to cover with it and build on your arsenal of techniques, or you could just grab a page or two that you stand out for you and go with it. Again, I'd forgotten about this and I need to go through it again, especially for future art journaling classes I'll be teaching, because quite frankly, I'm running out of ideas for new backgrounds and things to like teach them, new techniques. So this might give me some more ideas. So I'm going to leave this one out for a while where it'll be right under my nose so that I can glance through it. Okay. Oh yes, and by the way, I've got a link to Amazon. It's amazon.com to get the book, and the price of it on the back it says it's $24.99 US, $27.99 Canadian, but I saw it on Amazon for less than that. And as I mentioned once before, sometimes you'll see these books and they'll say so many used. Don't be afraid of the used books. I have bought used books through Amazon before, and in most cases they're like they're brand new, but half the price. So, you know, that's an option. Okay, inspiration tips for this week. All right, I was watching a video the other day. It's called Studio of MM. She's an artist. She's a young lady in her early 20s. I know her mother. She lives in my subdivision. She only lives a couple of blocks away from me. I taught with her mother for years. Her mother's now retired too. And this is a very talented young girl and young lady. And I have reviewed her YouTube channel before, but she was doing something a little different. She was doing something called a drip painting. She basically sketched out a figure, and then she dripped paint. I think she had mixed her paint with a flow aid of some sort and was just dripping it down. But she is an artist. I couldn't do what she does with it because she understands light and shadow, and you know it. And her painting was brilliant. But then I got thinking, you could do something like this using a medium that I've had for a while and I've never used that much, called string gel. And you can colorize the string gel, and it's kind of thick, but it'll pour. And you know, you could make it more fluidy by adding flow aid or pouring medium, something like that. And I thought, you know, mix up a bunch of these in different colors and do sort of an acrylic pour, except by dripping and stuff, and see what you get. So I haven't done that yet, but I want to give that a go, give it a little bit of an experiment and see what happens. So, inspiration for the week. You might want to take some paints you've got laying around, thin them down a little bit if they're kind of thick, and try your own drip painting. And I'm sure, I haven't checked this out yet, but I'm pretty much sure that if you put in drip painting in YouTube, you'll probably find hundreds of videos of this technique. Okay, so events in the past week. What's been going on? Oh, okay. Saw 2 more nursing homes. They don't like to be called nursing homes, I found out. They're long-term care facilities. And both were very, very nice. And you know that I'm picking the home for my mother, kind of a thing. It's going to take 4 to 5 years to get her in, if we get her on the waiting list. And I'm still waiting to hear from the powers that be that do all of that. I did know that they told me it would probably be a couple of weeks before they got in contact with me. Well, it's been a couple of weeks now, and I just want to get on with it. So if I don't hear anything by, you know, in the next couple of days, then I'm going to I have the name of the lady that's supposed to be, you know, the caseworker for my mother. So I'll give her a call and just see what's going on. I know they're very, very busy. But nevertheless, it's my mother, and I want to get on with this, especially with a waiting list that's that long. But anyways, They're very nice. You know, almost to the point where I'm thinking, I wouldn't mind living here. I mean, they look after your meals. The rooms are very, very nice. They're not ward rooms. They have like 3 levels, basic, semi-private, and private in most of them. The basic are like a private room. They're 2 rooms, wall in between. They have a common door, a vestibule kind of a thing, just a small little hallway entrance. And off to one side is the bathroom. So the people in these 2 rooms share that one bathroom. But they also have like a curtain that draws across the opening into their side of the room. Like just it's like a little doorway without a door for a little bit of privacy. Well, that's okay. I didn't have that much privacy when I was living in residence and university. So I thought that was all right. However, I will put down on the form, you can select what style of room you want, or you can select all 2 or 3 that they offer, which give you better odds of getting in a quicker time. So I will put down all 3, but ideally I would like my mother into a private room, and the difference between a private room and a basic room is just that. It's a room with your own bathroom, you don't share it, and you have your own doorway. Like there's no you're not sharing it. It's a room. And they're all about the same size, whether they're basic or they're private. Semi-private, you have your own door. It looks like a private room. The only thing is between 2 rooms is a bathroom with an entrance into the bathroom from either room across. So again, that's fine. They're very clean. They don't smell. I read about that. If you're checking out long-term care facilities, first thing to do, smell it. If it smells like, well, you know, urine, that kind of stuff, then that's not good. None of the ones I've been to smell. They're all bright, cheerful, lots of natural light comes in. The staff in all of them look like they're very attentive to the clientele, but they also look like they like their job. And there was a very homey feeling in all of them. So that I really liked as well. Dining rooms, activity areas, the whole bit, the way it's all laid out, very nice. No wonder there's a long waiting list to get in these places. Yes, there are some homes or long-term care facilities, let's be politically correct, that you can get into in less time. And they're holes. And I'm not putting my mother in a hole. No. But anyways, got to get her on that waiting list. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. She also got a new walker this week, which she seems to be loving. She was a little unsure of it when she first got it, wanted me to come over and check it out. Okay, I came out and checked it out. It's a walker. It had already been pre-set up for her for, you know, her height and the whole bit. And I showed her how to use the brakes on it. And she seems to be very happy with it. And that's good, because the one she had before was basically my father's walker, and it's been to hell and back. So that's good. And yeah. Already talked about the Creative Festival and the luncheon that we didn't get into, but the ice storm, okay? So I did take some short video of what it looked like on Saturday outside, and I'm going to insert that right here now for you, just to get a feel of what we were living through on this past weekend and what we're sort of living through right now. Okay, so we just discovered today on Saturday, we were warned about this ice storm that was coming, so we opened up the front door, and Walter's about to try and go out the front door.
No, I'm going out the garage.
Oh yeah, we'll open the front door to show people here what we have, why you have to go out through the garage. Okay, your back's in the way. This is what's built up here, and if you take a look, we cannot open our door. That's solid ice, because this is an ice storm. Ice pellets, actually, right at the moment. In April. Halfway through April. This is like April showers bring May flowers. No, this is April ice pellets bring frozen stuff. So Walter's going out right now. He's getting all dressed for it. He's going to go out and try to chip away this.
Well,
so,
no, it'll be, I don't think it'll be solid, so.
Well, whatever. So that we can eventually get out at some point. Hopefully it will melt. Will you be able to open the garage door though?
Yeah, well, go straight up, right?
Well, it might.
Steve's.
Yeah, hit that one. Oh well, it did release. It's just a little winter wonderland out here, isn't it? Pretty in December, not so pretty in April. Yeah, pretty solid.
Well, it's just solid at the door too.
Oh. Well, yeah, this looks like fun. So, needless to say, today we were going to go to the Creative Festival in Toronto, but we decided against it because the roads would be really bad, and that's just a good thing because it was only raining when we were going to leave, but there's no way we'd get home. You'd be sliding all over the place on this. And tomorrow we're supposed to do a luncheon for volunteers at the art gallery, and we got called this morning and they've canceled that because of the weather as well. So yeah, this is really fun. So if you're thinking of coming to Canada, don't come till July. Maybe we'll be thawed out by then. So Walter's taking a video.
No, I'm taking a picture.
This is April. April the 14th, 2018, Ontario, Canada. It should be raining. This is not rain, people. This is ice. It looks like snow, but it's ice. Will summer ever come? So welcome to Canada and to Ontario in April. This is not common in April. I mean, it's not been uncommon that we've had a light snowfall in the very beginning part of April. This is spring, okay? This is spring here in North America. So this is a little unusual, having this right now. And in April, too, you'll often get some of the early flowers popping their heads up. I have a feeling they all popped their heads back down real quick when this came along. I was even watching the squirrels and the robins, and they're kind of looking out there going, crap, what's this all about? The squirrels are going, this is nuts. Little pun there. And the robin, I felt so sorry. There was this big fat robin sitting on our deck, and it was looking for shelter, and it kind of, the cover on our barbecue blew off, and so it kind of went underneath the barbecue, and then it took off. So, you know, it makes you wonder, because we live in an area that has a lot of wildlife, because we have a forest behind us. You kind of wonder where these poor little things go, you know, when weather like this hits. Makes me glad I'm not a squirrel or a robin. Okay, so told you about sewing class, my last one, and oh, here's something just happened this morning, and I was so flattered and honored. One of my viewers sent me an email. She lives out in BC. She has, I think I did review her as a person of interest as well. What she call her website is Cottage Arts. Here, just a second. Let me get down and get the email. Yeah, this is Roxanne Anderson, and I did review some time ago her website and everything, and it's Apricot Cottage Studio. And she lives in BC, as I said, and she sent me a request and asked if I would be interested in coming out to BC and doing a workshop in acrylic pouring. Well, I was really flattered about this, but the logistics of it are just, it's too far. One, BC from here is 5,000 kilometers, so I have to fly. A flight to BC, even though it's a domestic flight, ranges anywhere, round trip, from $600 to $800, possibly more. It depends on the time of the year that you're going, okay? They're a small group. They don't really have a lot of money, and they talked about grant writing for this as well. Then there's accommodation. Now, she mentioned that, you know, it would be one of the members or something, I guess I'd stay with them. But the problem with that is I'd want to take Walter with me as well, at my expense, not at anybody else's expense. I wouldn't be expecting them to pay anything like that. So we'd have to stay in a hotel for probably a minimum of 2 nights, possibly 3 days. In fact, I know that if we went out there, we'd probably want to spend a week out there. Now, again, this would not be something that I would expect this group to pay for with that. But nevertheless, just going out there on my own, flight, and let's just say 2 nights in a hotel, That's a couple of $100, $300. So right there, you're talking just that and alone about $1,000. And then there's, you know, the logistics, materials, getting them on a plane, like we're talking paint, stuff like that. Would they have the materials there? There's a whole lot of factors, and I don't do this on a professional basis. I wouldn't even know what to charge them for my workshop, and I mentioned that to them. So although I was flattered and honored, there's too many barriers. If it was here or it was in Toronto or something like that, yeah, that would not be a problem at all. But 5,000 kilometers away, that's a bit of a problem. But and it breaks my heart because, you know, I feel so honored, and I would have loved to have done it. And you know, BC is beautiful. I've been there before. It would be neat to go out there, to say the least, but I can't do that. But this came out of the blue, and you know, it's kind of a welcome surprise this morning. Just wish I didn't have to turn them down. Okay, so what's coming up? Well, here's food for thought. Walter's having a colonoscopy on Thursday. Yeah, it happens, right? Not his first one. I've had a couple myself over time. You know, you get to a certain age and doctors want to, you know, probe you like you're an alien, or that you're being abducted by aliens, kind of a thing. But anyways, of course, I have to be there to take him, and because they won't let you drive yourself home because of the drugs they put you under for this procedure. So anyways, that's what we have to look forward to on Thursday. And in fact, Walter has to take stuff beforehand to prep for this. Let's just say it's kind of a crappy situation. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that's coming up. Wow, when my life depends upon, you know, getting excited over a colonoscopy. Really, what's wrong? Now, I have created a new series, or I've got one video up on my channel, and I call it The Idiot Quilter. And I thought what I would do is sort of document my adventures in quilting, my trials and tribulations. They're not instructional videos, or aren't going to be. They're just going to be basically me trying something and seeing whether it works or not, or just talking about things that I've learned. My idea here is to make these short, you know, 10 minutes in length, and maybe for newbies into quilting, and I'm a newbie still in this, you know, take away some of the stress and anxiety that may be surrounded by learning a new craft or doing something. Let them know that, you know, everybody makes mistakes, and I make all of them all the time. So I'll see how that works, but I've got one up there already, and it was featuring my first try at free motion quilting. And I'm thinking of doing a second one, maybe later today. I might get it up today, I don't know. I'm thinking of doing my own little mini quilt show, because I've made 4.5 quilts now. So just another thing, you know, there. I don't know. People may not have any interest in that. They might think it's stupid. Whatever, it's there. We'll see. I like making videos. Okay, so one last thing, and we discussed this at length on Stephen and Walter Live, so I'm not going to get into a big discussion about it. But I have noticed there's a lot of YouTube creators out there who support themselves through something called Patreon. And most people know what Patreon is, but basically it's where you give money to the creator. And they have levels. You know, if you pledge them $1 a month, or $5 a month, $10, $50, $100, it goes up. It depends on the individual that's putting that all together. And in return, they give you rewards. And there's different levels of rewards depending on how much money you pledge a month. And there's some very successful ones out there, like Melanie Lane has a Patreon, and she has about 4,000 members on it, and she has different levels. But like Walter said, if all of those people, 4,000 people, gave her $1 each a month, she's making $4,000 a month. That's what? Over $40,000 a year. And I know some people give her more than just $1. I would say the average is probably more like $5 a month. So, you know, that's pretty good. Now, Melanie is a very clever businesswoman. as well. And nothing against that whatsoever. This is her livelihood, and this is how she makes money. But there's others that are doing this too. Ken's Creations, he just made a big announcement that he's quit his job. And he had a really good job. He was a bank manager in, I think they live in Spokane, Washington, to do his videos full time and as a business. And he has a Patreon as well. So this got me thinking, you know, I could do a Patreon. It would be nice to have, you know, that extra money every month that would, you know, basically go back into buying better equipment for making videos, things like that. But I have to offer a reward. And I'm the kind of person that if you give me something, I'll give you back something, and I usually give back more. And because, you know, you're paying for this, so I want you to get value for your money. Well, let's say I had 50 people that had pledged every month. That's 50 things every month I have to give out. Now, some people do special videos that are private and they're only for people at a certain level on Patreon. Others give them a little card or something that they've made. But even if I was to give people a card they made, and there was 50 of them, I'd have to make 50 cards every month. I don't have the time for that. You know, Melanie, she's kind of clever. She does video, but she also has them, she has people at certain levels get entered every month into a draw for a gift certificate. And depending on what the level is, the gift certificates look like they range from about $50 to $300 for whatever. Well, if you've got 4,000 plus people giving you money every month, $300, $350 a month in a gift certificate is pretty easy to do. And you don't have to make anything, and you just mail it out to them. And that's the other thing. You've got shipping, you've got mailing, whatever you're going to give them. If it's not something that's electronic, then you've got that price worked in. So it becomes a full-time job. I'm retired. I don't need a full-time job. It would interrupt my creative life too much. Okay? So don't worry. I'm not asking for any money. Okay? I'm okay financially. I make a little money off of the advertisements that come up in these videos from Google and YouTube. And it's very little. In fact, it takes me, you put it at a threshold, and I put it at the lowest threshold before they pay me, and that's $100. Well, it takes me, they're about to pay me $105 this week. That took 3 months to make that. So that tells you how many, you know, how much they're giving you per ad that shows up. I don't know how they figure it all out. I watched a YouTube video yesterday about that, and it, whoa, you need it to be a physicist, you know, a scientist or something, a mathematician to figure out what they were talking about, and they weren't even sure how YouTube does it. So anyways, but that's it. Some people make money from having affiliates. Affiliates are, you know, they say if you go to this, to Amazon or to this product site through the link that they give you, they get a small commission. I don't know how small that commission is. I don't imagine it's huge, but I know a lot of them do that as well. But I kind of looked into that, not seriously looked into it, just skimmed it over. It looked like you have to have a minimum number of regular subscribers, and I don't think I matched that level. But I'm not going to ask for money for doing these videos and stuff. I do it because I like doing it. It's a hobby. It's all part of my creative adventures here. So not going to get into that because I don't want to be beholden to anybody. You pay me for money, you expect something back. This is free. Okay, so I guess you're getting your money's worth on this. So anyways, that's all I want to say about that. Only because I want to pick up on the conversation from Stephen and Walter Live yesterday. Okay, so that's it for this week's vlog. Do check out my new segment. There's only one there right now, but there'll be more. The Idiot Quilter. And I hope you have a really good week, and I hope you're not being iced over, and I'm hoping by the time I see you again next week, we will have green instead of white out there. That would be really nice. Okay, have a good week. Bye-bye.